Paris. Dr. Manu Lekunze is lecturer in international relations at the University of Aberdeen and joins us now. Dr. Lekunze, thanks very much indeed for joining us. What do you make of Mr. Diop's comments about acts of aggression, and what do you make of Mali's intention to take this to the United Nations?
They've already written a letter to the United Nations, so they have already done that. As your correspondent from Paris correctly said, these things are very difficult to verify. Of course, states do sponsor insurgents in different parts of the world. So if France were actually sponsoring insurgents in Mali, they will never accept it. It's also useful for the Malians, based on the security difficulties they are facing, to make claims that their problems are actually caused by France to boost their own popularity. So we cannot be sure whether France is sponsoring these insurgents or not, or the Malians are lying. They both have a reason to lie about this.
But outside observers would be forgiven for thinking that this allegation is something of a stretch. I mean, it's hard to find even a motive for the French government to get involved with organizations like Islamic State or Al-Qaeda.
No, I mean, there are many, let's be clear, there are many insurgents in Mali. Some of them are definitely linked with ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but there's so many different groups. So if you are looking for an armed group to sponsor in, say, northern Mali, you will be able to find one. So I don't think it's that far-fetched, you may put it, but at the same time, like I said, the Malians have the reason to blame their problems on an external actor, and France is the obvious candidate to blame their difficulties on. So you can see why the Malians can make such a claim. But if you're thinking about why will France want to do this, you can see that the relationship between Paris and Bamako have deteriorated significantly over the past, say, 2 years. You can see that, as your reporter pointed out, France was in Mali for about 9 years without serious results, apart from perhaps halting the Islamists from arriving Bamako. But the real situation, the real security situation in Mali hasn't changed significantly. In fact, you can argue that it's gotten worse since 2013. So yes, there are a lot of complications on the ground that can generate this kind of accusations.
So, Dr. Lekunze, I mean, what's your impression then? Do you think this is a falling out between two nation states over disagreement or a non-fulfillment of a political contract? Or do you think there's a bigger picture here in terms of European influence in West Africa and this suggestion that the Russians might have more contacts in Bamako than they previously had?
Yes, so like I said earlier on, it's far more complex than something between Mali and France. As you know very well, France is the colonial power that governed or controlled this region for a very, very long time. After colonialism, France maintained strong presence in the region and continued to act firmly in the region. But in the past few years, because of changes in France and changes in Europe, France has not really been able to play that regional power position as it used to do in the past. And there is some sort of a vacuum where Russia has moved in, but as you know, Russia is not that invested or even not that capable to replace France in the whole of the region. So they have mercenaries in Mali, and they're causing a little bit of problems here and there, but they cannot invest in the institutions, they cannot invest the military power or the economic power that is necessary to replace France. Remember that France has deeper diplomatic, whether it's the monetary or military, all the different frameworks that create regional power. It's France that has those advantages in West Africa. Russia is using Mali and other groups in the region to try and have a say in the region, but relative to France, Russia remains weak in the region.
Dr. Lekunze, many thanks.